am Vincent Von Doom, and you are listening to Disaster Survival Magazine's weekly radio broadcast. Von Doom, Vincent Von Doom.
Hi, this is Vincent Von Doom with Disaster Survival Magazine's weekly radio broadcast. We have another special guest with us tonight. We have the Bruce Buckshot Hemmings. Bruce, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How's it going, buddy?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff's going down, huh? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, with Russian warships rattling their sabers, Iran, and China is turning into the 900-pound gorilla in the room.
Oh, yeah. We owe them a lot of money, right? We were like $1 trillion in debt, trillions, and we keep giving them all of our gold. I think the past decade or so, most of our gold was bought up by China. And I just read this report that some financial institutions put out. They were tracking the amount of gold the United States had in its inventory, and the amount we exported exceeded the amount that we were supposed to have in our inventory. So I don't know if this has anything to do with all the banker deaths, that there's some type of collapse coming, because technically there should not be any gold left in Fort Knox, according to these numbers that these financial institutions are talking about. So we have either two scenarios going on here. One, we've been sold out by people from the inside who have been bleeding us dry and sending money over to other countries or central banks. Or the United States and our scientists have figured out a way to make gold in laboratories, and we've been dumping this gold that we've been making on the market. There is only one of the two that is actually going on, so either scenario would be catastrophic, but something is not right, and that's just only one part of it. We have the stuff going on with, like you said, with the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. They want the Ukraine back, which I don't really care. I think they can have it back because it used to belong to them anyway, so I don't think we have any business getting involved in the Ukraine. As far as this whole Russia thing and China and Iran, I'm at the point where I think that this is all being concocted by the leaders of all these countries. Like, they actually have video conferences with each other and talk about how we're going to make this look like a world war. Meanwhile, they're all in on it together just so they can get rid of some of their citizens and accumulate more wealth. Like, they're all involved in crime and organized crime, and the people are starting to ask too many questions. And we have the internet now, which we didn't have 20 years ago, where we could fact check. That all everyone did 20 years ago was just watch the news, and whatever the news told them was the truth. Now we're able to fact check, and we're starting to get two sides of the story, and the internet's been a double-edged sword for them. And a lot of people are thinking that maybe they could use a false flag attack, or whether it's an EMP or a cyber virus, to bring down the internet so they don't have to deal with it anymore, and only the military will have it.
Well, that would
what do you think about
work. That? Oh, they could hurt us bad. In EMP, I don't know if people realize just how catastrophic it would be to America. The government did a full study on this and showed where our vulnerability is. In fact, I was shocked to find out, but Korea is actually better prepared for an EMP than the United States is. They have, our main vulnerability isn't so much our power plants. Some of our power plants are very well protected. It's the grid itself is 50 years old, and we have no protection on it. So the problem comes in with the transformers. Even if we had enough power plants online that could come back online, they can't send the power out on the grid because all these substations, their transformers would be fried. And that means you can't step the voltage down to send it to the households. And then, well, out in the country at least, each individual house has a transformer which steps it down again to use it for regular household use. All them transformers have to be replaced. We're talking, in the government report, if another country like China would be the only one that could build them to replace them all, it would take 10 years to replace all the transformers in America. And that was, how should we put it, very optimistic view of 10 years. It could be 20.
Wow. So it really is our Achilles heel. And by that time, everything would go to hell by that time, right?
Oh yeah, and the government report did a fantastic job, and that's what I based my books on. Was they predicted?
And which report is that?
It's in the reference is in the back of my first book. It's the vulnerability of the electrical grid from an EMP attack. The link's in the back of the book. If you get it on Kindle or on Nook, you can just click right on the link, and it takes you right to the report so you can fact-check everything I'm saying. But they estimated 90 to 95% of all Americans would be dead within the first year.
Wow. I see after, like Hurricane Katrina, stuff like that, just people being out of power for just for like a week, they start turning into, chaos and anarchy. So I would hate to see what would happen if the grid goes down. But that's what your books are based on. Thank you, by the way, for sending me signed copies of your books. Grid Down is the first book in the series, Reality Bites. And I started with that one, and let me tell you, I am glued to this book. It's one of the best books I have read in a long time, and it is an absolute page turner. You must have done a lot of research, because this is a very thick book, and it's very well written, and it's very, very exciting. You have four books in that you've written, and the Grid Down is it a 3-book series or 4?
It's 3 right now, and the 4th one's coming out probably by this September.
All right, great. I can't wait. And the other book that you did was The Rabid Mind, which talks about a bioweapon, which is also another possibility of something that could happen. With everything going on, someone could create a bioweapon and say it's the pig flu or the bird flu. So it seems like more and more that one of these situations, or if not both of them, might become a reality very soon. And your books, they talk about that, but it makes it seem real. And I'm reading, I'm like halfway through it now, and it really is one of the best books that I've read in a while. I get a lot of books to review here at the Disaster Survival Network, and your books have to be my favorite, right? Can you tell the audience a little bit about what gave you the idea, or how you got started in writing, and a little bit what your background is?
Well, that's a long story, but we'll keep it brief. Basically, I've been in the outdoors for the last 40 years, and I was real big into wilderness survival and hunting, fishing, trapping, anything to do with the outdoors. I was always out there doing it, and for the last 14 years, I was personally teaching survival trapping and snaring and wilderness survival tips. And this whole time, after you talk to hundreds and hundreds of students, you start getting a feel for what they're worried about and what's on their mind. And it kept coming up with some type of collapse. And I thought, well, what could cause America to collapse? And you already went into that about the money is on the verge of collapsing. And what else? And I started writing the book, and I really didn't have a clear picture right at the first few chapters of what the disaster was going to be. And I don't remember exactly how I ran across the whole EMP thing, but I hit on that, and somebody sent me that government report, and I started reading it, and I went, oh my God. Then I started researching more and found out that Russia and China in a joint venture have already designed the bomb. Now, people don't understand. One bomb, one nuke blown over 300 miles up above America would take out the electrical grid from the Yukon halfway to Venezuela. All that area, all of the lower 48 would be black in a second, as soon as that goes off. And what an EMP is, it's an electronic magnetic pulse. It comes down in a huge pulse, like a huge surge, like your computer has surge protectors against minor surges. Well, this is like the worst surge in the world, and it will fry all the transformers. It might even catch some electrical lines on fires. Even solar panels, it will run right through them, and it will fry any electronic components in your whole solar system. It's really the most devastating thing that could happen to America. So you have to understand how catastrophic this is. Some generators will work. I put in there all the cars are going to die, but I've read different tests since I wrote that, and it depends on the strength and how far you're away, if your car's running or turned off. You might have more vehicles running than I put in the book, but with no electricity, we lose all our refineries, and we have no way to keep the gas going, to keep your vehicles going, no way to get food to the grocery store, no way to refrigerate the food in the grocery stores, on and on. And like you said, perfect example, you look at any cases in America where we've had natural disasters that went out of control, and riots and looting and raping and murder all happen within days. So you can imagine what it would be like if it was the whole nation at once. It would be chaos at its finest.
Wow. So all it takes is one. I just read a report about how Iran, they were saying Iran could sneak one aboard a container ship. I have on my Facebook page an animation that shows how they rig the cargo containers, the shipping containers that people modify it for bunkers. They also turn that into where they put hydraulics on it, and it can go into a vertical launch position and launch a nuclear-tipped missile off the coast of, let's say, New Jersey or Los Angeles, 3 o'clock in the morning, a cargo ship, and detonate it, like you said, 300 miles above the atmosphere, and then boom, that's it. That's